And I just wanted to take a minute at the beginning of this tutorial that I'm going to do to thank everybody and to open it up that if you ever have some type of technique that you want me to do for you at any time, just leave it in the comments. And it's like the camera setup. I'm working on actually putting the camera to the back, moving things around. I want to do the same thing. I'm trying to get it so that it's visually pleasing and that you can watch it. And because so many of my subscribers, you, my friends, have been very faithful, and my channel is growing, and that is really exciting. So I'm going down to the table here to the island. I'm going to start a really wonderful technique. I can't wait to share it with you. And another thing I can't wait to share with you is that I will be doing the odd time hard of hearing and deaf videos. I'm going to do easy clean and simple cards at first and then proceed on from there. So if there is any hard of hearing that are watching this tutorial, I encourage you to come and join me for card making, and we together will do different kinds of cards, and I am hoping that you will enjoy it, and I with you will work together and we can do some great card making. So thank you very much, everybody, and I thought I would just take a little second, and if there's any questions or something you would like to see on my channel, please leave it in the comment. And I thank you. And let me see, is there anything else? Let's see, I don't think so. I'm going to turn the lights on, and I'm going to actually I'm going to put the camera over to the side this time because it's going to have some prep work, and I don't think my hands are going to get in the way. So take care, everybody, and I will see you on the tutorial. Have a blessed week. Bye now. Mixed media extravaganza, I'm calling this. All 5 cards this week, starting with the first one. And I'm using the Dollar Tree paintbrushes that I bought, one of them, to gesso the backs of my cards. And then we're going to do a beveled acetate card using, first, I used a lot of these palette knives, Wilton Icing Bags, the tips. I'll put the numbers of the tips I used in the description bar. Disposable Wilton bags, of course. I'm using watercolor paper, and I love these containers. I have, believe it or not, I think 5 or 6 of them that have tips and icing products that I used to use years and years ago when I had a cake business. And that brought me to the idea of doing 3D flowers on a mixed media card. I had so much fun doing these cards. So I'm going to start out with one of them for you. So let's carry on after I pick out the numbers that I want to use. This is a little sneak peek of one of the background stamps, the roses. It's an Impression Obsession background stamp. I used lots of techniques on these 5 cards. Of course, doing stenciling and all kinds of goodness. Lots of different pastes. I'm giving you some ideas that you can use. Use some of my homemade paste. But the first card I want to do for you is this beautiful wooden stamp that I had. I just love it. And I want to get a nice impression, so I'm using beautiful detailed black ink. You can tell I'm going over and over it because I'm using the 140-pound watercolor paper from Michaels, and I cut them out into different sizes. This is 5.5 by 6, I think. I will have to see because I did all different sizes for you this week. The idea that I had was doing a trestle around this beautiful stamp, and I'm going to give it some good pressure. And I had bricks, and I thought, I am going to get out my icing tips, and I'm going to do a 3D beveled card with acetate, making roses and leaves around these beautiful old-fashioned doors. I just love this stamp. I've never used it before. Once again, I'm shopping in my craft room, and this was one of the wooden stamps that I had and haven't got a chance to use. So I'm using clear embossing powder over top of the detail black, and then we're going to get set to icing. Can you believe it? Icing this card base. I thought, what a fun way to create cards and push your creativity with using icing bags, icing tips, which you could only need to buy a few of them. You'll see that you don't need very many. I'll put the numbers of the different ones that I use, some texture pastes, and I'll show you how to get fast drying texture paste and what I used. I had computer problems, major. I was fortunate to get 56 minutes up. I had 15 hours of videotaping for these 5 cards. I apologize for the length, but I really did speed things up as much as I could for this card without having to eliminate some of the techniques that I wanted to show you. So I think you're going to really enjoy mixed media if you haven't done it before, and if you love mixed media, you're going to enjoy 5 wonderful cards, all different. Each one is different from the other, and this, believe it or not, looking at these brown colors with my Copics, this is going to be a sympathy card, and I think you're really going to like it, and I couldn't wait to show it to you. You know, I'm struggling here because my Copic marker is upside down in the gun. Oh yeah, that's the kind of week. Not only is my computer maxed, I have 5 terabytes in external hard drives on this, and something happened where it all loaded up onto the actual Mac, filled it up, and I could not even put one little birdie on here for you because it is so, it's just filled. Can you believe that? All of my space. So I have to work on that tomorrow, but I did get 56 minutes in, and I hope you don't mind the length. So let's carry on here. I thought of the times, I was kind of reminiscing of back in the day when I had a cake business, how I loved to make roses and rosebuds and leaves. And I thought, you know what, I haven't done a beveled card with acetate for at least a year. And I will put my other beveled cards up for you to watch if you like beveled cards. And I just think they're beautiful for achieving a 3D look. So the first thing you want to do, I will stop that kind of gabbing for now, and is build a base. And I like to go dark first. So I build it because if you're going to be adding different textures on top, you want to make sure you have a dark base underneath. And I know this doesn't look like much. You will be surprised at the end how beautiful just these colors mixed together turn out when you're looking through the layers. So turquoise, beautiful, isn't it? I love turquoise. So once I finished with that, oh yes, I wanted to throw this in, $54.99 for $13.74 in the clearance bin for a beautiful big gesso barrel of gesso. And I use quite a bit of it because I do like to baseline all my cards. Here I'm just adding some water, and then I had patterns. I'm really convicted about using my products that I have bought over the last 5 years of crafting to use them up. I don't mind buying a few things here and there. Gold and pastes, we're going to be using quite a few of these, and I'll explain each one. This is a semi-gloss. I use this like a glue, and they are inexpensive at Michael's too if you buy the gels. I'm a huge fan of mixed media. I could literally do canvases and cards and all kinds of mixed media paraphernalia of any kind. And the reason is You don't have to have a plan. Doesn't that sound crazy? But you really don't. You just need a few materials, some texture and different sorts, and put them all together on, I like to use the 140-pound watercolor paper because it holds up, and cheesecloth. I put that up there to remind me. At the dollar store, where nothing's a dollar, you can get a huge package of this. I always keep cheesecloth on hand for any mixed media projects. It's a beautiful texture, especially if you're doing like ocean scenes. You know, it kind of gives you that effect. And yes, these, I'm showing you some of the card sizes that I was using. And I had to use up some of this acrylic paint that I had on the side of my mat. And when you're looking at these cards, and I even added some of it on top of the pattern. Don't you love mixed media? I put some of the yellow behind the door, the windows, and it's just wonderful. I took out all the little watercolor sample, you know, the small, they're not samples, you have to buy them, but oh yeah, I had these cotton rags. So I grabbed a little piece, frayed the end, and I'm putting that on our card we're doing today. And what I did, I just walked around the craft room and grabbed a whole lot of products that had different textures on them, taking some of the gel. Gel works really well as a glue, as you can see here. And this happened to be the gloss. I would prefer matte, but like I said, I want to use up my products. So I said, you know what? I'll throw some of this gloss on there, and we'll just have a little bit of the shiny texture. And this is the golden tar paste. It is really gritty, and I wanted to put that on there with some crackle paste. And yeah, just experimenting with it. That's acrylic purple paint up there that I had some leftover gesso, so I added it to some paint and mixed it together. So here I'm getting that gravelly texture onto this doorway, and remembering that we're going to have vines going all the way around and beautiful roses. So the tar texture just added to it. And I never think complete when I'm doing mixed media. I just keep adding, and this is my thickest paste that I have there. It's a thicker, it's not the thickest, it's just another gel, and it's not the gloss, it is the matte. And I'm going around because it's almost like a glue, so I want to keep that tar paste on there, so this will dry clear, and it'll just give you a nice look. Then I got out some sprays. Lindy Stamp Gang, you can use, I think that's what this is, and yes it is. And then some Tim Holtz stains. They work wonderfully. Anything that screams texture to you, put it on your card base. And you'll notice that I take different size cards but different colors. This is more of a rich background because we're going to do baby blue and turquoise roses. My favorite are yellow roses, so we're going to be doing yellow roses with the orange on it. And I bought this the other day because it has that pinch thing on the top that keeps all of the moisture out. And I'm going to use this for my texture paste that I don't use, but I can't put it back because it's been contaminated with other things. So I thought I'd just scoop them up with my palette knife and put it in this little container and store it. Could be used for anything. Here's a little peek at some of the cards. We're going to do start to finish on these, so I can show you all the different textures that you can use, that you probably have these products in your craft room, and how we will take them from looking like this to a totally different look. And in the mixed media, 3D, we're thinking 3D. So after I get, this is Perfect Pearl Spray, I wanted to have some of that nice shine on the card. And I have all 5 of these, but I also did envelopes that are to the side that are going to match. I think you're really going to like it. And now once I have the base of bright colors, deep colors, I start to build the texture. And what better texture on gate is putting some stencil brick. And here I am using a matte gel. I use a lot of gels, but I'm going to give you some combinations that will help you when you're doing mixed media, and if you're doing flowers and you're going to use texture paste with this idea of using Wilton cake bags and tips to get your 3D look, to get the height for underneath the bevel. It's just going to work really well. I'm scraping off the top here. I wanted to get that deep down into the grooves of the stamp look, and then I need to make the door opening there. And I also want to share with you, you can mix your gels, mix your paste with, I have a lot of gels compared to paste, so I mix both of them. It's still paste, but you use up the ones that you wouldn't necessarily use by themselves, like the gel. And gel really has a wonderful look when you use sprays, because you get that clear see-through to whatever colors you put as your base colors. So you want to spray it and then color it and then hold it over another card if you're doing multiple cards, so that all of that yumminess can fall onto your next project. You don't want to waste, anything, unless it's dark brown here. I didn't want dark brown on these other cards, but we are going to be doing, I'll tell you, one of them is an animal card. That's all I'm going to share. And we're going to be using texture paste with our Wilton cake ideas. So yes, so here it's been drying. Look at that beautiful clear gel texture. Just love it. You have the tar, you have all that gritty paste. Beautiful. And the reason I left these in, because I wanted you to see the before. This is the before, as each of these cards had, this is the under layer. Because when we work with the cake decorating and the Wilton bags and tips, making animals and different structures on here, you're going to be able to see the before. This is the base. I always call the bottom the baseline. Now you could put this on a card all by itself with a sentiment, and it would be beautiful. But you can just take it up a notch, maybe a couple of notches this week, and have fun creating. I just ran those on my mat so that I could have some cards for sentiments. I chose 2 different colored backgrounds for each of the cards. I already cut my own homemade card bases in my 140-pound cardstock, so everything is prepared, so I have more fun and time to work on the actual card base. I'm using my ATG guns because I love the way it sticks, and this is the colors that I used. And I went around on my card bases and I put my calligraphy gold washi tape to hold the creases. So just remember that now, and then I'll share that later. Now here's an idea on one of the cards I'm going to do. Get yourself out a nice thick book. Anything where when you put it in the middle, it poofs out like this, okay? This is one of the techniques. It's another sneak peek. And I used to do this on my cakes when I did butterflies, anything that was flying. You would just grab a book. You want to get some, so for preparation for the next card this week, I had this book. I just love it because I got it at a thrift store. It's just full of yumminess. I take it to the middle, and you want to have some poofy, just like that. Take a piece of wax paper, and you're going to have just enough to stamp an image, because we are going to make 3D butterflies, and they're going to look like they are taking flight. And that is a technique, and it's going to go on one of these cards. I'm not going to tell you which one. See, that has butterflies. It may not be that one. Love that long, maybe that one. We don't know. But they're all ready to go, and we want to have a couple of butterflies that look like they're taking flight and are 3D, because that's the key word, right? Here's our gold washi tape with the calligraphy. If your cardstock's too thick and it cracks, put washi tape on either the inside or the outside, or have some fun and put it on both sides. Beauteous, isn't it? Of bevel cards, so we're going to go back to the bevel where you can put 3D underneath it, and here I am covering the base card with the washi tape because I wanted some of that gold script, and I didn't want any of the little cuts in the cardstock. Like right here, when you fold a 140-pound cardstock, you will get cracks. So just grab your nicest washi tape that matches and put it on there, and you're using it up. Now I'm going back, and it stays on purple ink. That's what I'm using here because I want to use up some products that I haven't used in my craft room. You're going to put it on your wax paper, grab a book, yep, press it in there, and then use some StazOn cleaner. And don't forget yet, $3. Don't forget that when you're done cleaning your stamp, just take the dauber and press it into some paper towel roll, and it will be white as white again, just like that. Now let's go to the middle of the page. This is the baker's secret on making anything that has wings 3D and look like it's flying. And I'm going to show you how to get your texture paste so that it is glued together. It will not break, okay? Like, you know, like chocolate would. Here I'm just taking this coffee filter to get some of the ink off. Don't close the book. Just leave it like this until our next card, and I will show you a beautiful 3D winged texture paste butterfly on the next project. I'm so excited to share that with you. I had this acrylic that I'm just wiping up there. It was from one of my stamp dies, and it's perfect for putting your paste on. It's no mess cleanup, and you can mix on it. And you can put your acrylic paints, whatever you want to use, but Buttercream Fabric Stiffener. That's wonderful for making flowers, for making fur on animals. Oh, I'm giving it away. Yes, fur on animals. Anything that you want to have a quick dry. This is Buttercream Fabric Softener, and it's a beautiful off-white. I put that into my texture paste. This is my homemade texture paste that I'm putting on there now to use it up. It's thicker, a little bit on the gray. And then I have the golden texture paste I'm going to add to that because I need a lot of it. So use your cheap with your not so cheap products. You'll never know. I'm taking some glumps out there because you need it to go through the tips that you use. And these are my leaves now. I'm doing 2 shades of green, dark and a mid-tone. And I am going to put it down the sides of my Wilton bag, just like you were going to add icing. We're pretending that this is going to be a cake, but it's going to be a mixed media 3D beveled card. Say that really fast. And I want you to get out all the texture pastes that you haven't used, that are, you know, you just wonder what you're going to do with them. And look it, mix them all up together. All of this. This is the tar paste. Oh yeah, it's going in there, and it's going right in the middle. And then I'm putting some of the green right beside it, the medium green on the other side, and then I am going to set that aside. We're going to push that down in there and mush it up with your fingers at the end. And then we're going to create the vines. On here you're going to have 3 different colors, a light green, a mid-tone, and a dark tone, just by taking your fingers, you know, like they used to do with margarine years ago. They had that little bullet thing in there, and we would squish it all up. Actually, you could use your Copic multi-liner to draw a trellis going around, which is, you know, not that hard because this is the underlayer. You're not going to see a lot of it, because you're going to be putting some pretty big roses, rose buds, and all kinds of goodness on this vine. I have this long darning needle that I put up the tips just in case some hardened texture paste got in there. Don't worry that it's perfect. You don't need it to be perfect. This is mixed media. You want it to look imperfect. That is the beauty of it. And now I just want some little wee vines and twigs hanging off. You get the 3 different green colors in there. And honestly, it really is relaxing to do. You're just icing a mixed media card. Can it get any better than that? I don't think so. The tips, I use a 1, 2, or 3. If you're going to use the fine number 1 tip, make sure you use the gels because it's much softer. But if you're using the texture paste, go up into the larger numbers. And here we're using the leaf tip. Now, I have to take those ones out because it was separating, but I leave it for now to dry so that I can just take it off in one swoop. You want to wave your leaves up and down, up and down, up and down. You practice right on your mat. And I know that those ones are coming off. So on those tips, the leaf tips, you can use a 77, 67, 66. There's even a 14. Just look at the tip, and the smaller ones make this, obviously, the smaller size leaves. Aren't they beautiful? You have the 3 different colors down in the bag now mixed beautifully. I took that off, and now I'm going to town I changed the tip. This is making a larger leaf, and I'm grabbing my toilet paper, making sure the ends are clean. And as you can see, these I'm stretching out, and then I turn it to the side when I get to the end. See that? So that you have more of a realistic look. I go up and down, up and down, up and down, turn at the end. Up, up, up. Yep, there you go. Make it work. That's what you have to do. Make it work. When you make your leaves or your flowers and you don't like them, leave them on for a little bit. Go back to them. That way you have the fabric stiffener in there. They will dry within seconds. You can take your knife and get underneath it and scrape it right off in no time. But if you try to do it when it's wet like this, you will drag that paste around and you'll be covering up the base color. So just leave it on there and go back to take it off. And there you have. Twist those tips whatever way you want. Make it work, because remember, you're putting flowers over top of this. You're not looking for perfection, and you're having fun. Those are the 3 elements to mixed media. Take your heat tool and let's move on to the flowers. I mixed up my stiffener of the Buttercream Fabric Stiffener inside 2 different pastes. One gel paste, one clear gel, and one actual paste. Mixed all together. Used up all the bottom of all of my different pastes. Oh yeah, look at that. All of the oil came out because I haven't used these in a long time. It doesn't matter. It's going in with all of these different pastes. These are little Pentel watercolors. If you're working quickly, you can add more of the fabric stiffener into your texture paste because then it will dry fast. But if you're practicing and you don't want it to get hard immediately, just put a little bit of the stiffener in there. So here we go. Practice on your mat, of course. And when you're doing your roses, this is one of the turning wheels. Put a little bit, I'd say a 1/2 inch round circle going up so you can start your roses. And your tip, you put the smallest end at the top and the wide end at the bottom, and then you are just going back and forth, back and forth. You're putting it on the center, making it round so you have that beautiful rose center, and that's it. Really, it's just getting your petals in there. Then I blow dry it. I heat set it here, blow dry. You think I was doing a hairdo, don't you? I take my heat tool to it so it's hard right away. I put quite a bit of the stiffener in this. Take your knife, your palette knife, slide it on there. Or actually this darning needle, I think that's what I used to slide. Look at it, it's dry already. And then set it down where you want it. And there you have it, my friends, a beautiful rose. And then make sure you have Q-tips. That's the number 1 thing too, because the Q-tips will shape it. See how nice and hard it is? That's the fabric stiffener. And I love the buttercream line that you get at Michael's. Look for that buttercream paint, acrylic paint, and the buttercream fabric stiffener. It is beautiful. Then you can add more of the beautiful petals once you seat this where you want it, if it's not, if it doesn't look right, there you go, another petal. And toilet paper, petal. Is this not a lot of fun? I think it is. It was for me. You could see I had to scrape some off there. I just waited till it dried because I want rosebuds. So this is how you do it. You have the thin line at the top and you're wide at the bottom. And all you're doing is dragging lines in a C. So you're going to do a backward C, and because that stiffener is in there with your texture paste, it is going to start to dry almost as you're taking it out. It's wonderful to work with. I'm going to put the 2 pointed ends that are underneath the rosebuds on there, and all of a sudden it just starts coming together. Now I want to do all white. I'm taking my bone folder to move my white texture paste down to the bottom. Now this has a lot of the fabric stiffener in my paste. So I'm going to move at a good pace here. My paste and my paste. My paste is going to be fast. My paste is going to be drying. So here I have, I'm not sure which tip this is, but it lets it out just like little pansies. So cute. And this is a base. I only need 2 of these, but these are bases for my rose buds, just the budding roses. I need to have it lifted up so that it's 3D. So I just need to have it, could be a circle, just to get that paste raised up, and we're on our way to making some beautiful rosebuds. You'll just love them. They'll be small rosebuds and then half flowers. So pretty. What we're getting here is just enough of the paste to have a nice center for your rosebud. So you're going to do the letter C, and then you're going to do a backward C on here, dragging it down just a little bit to get that beautiful teardrop look in a rosebud, and you want to have them in 3s. So you're going to do that C, and you can add that line of a teardrop, come down with another one, then go on the other side, meet up with it, raise it a bit higher, and you have a beautiful rosebud. So let's try that again. We're going to make the backward C, come around to the other side, and you're going to meet up with a little string on the end, that beautiful little petal like that. Then you're going to do the same, tucking in the top of the teardrop. Don't have them side by side. Tuck one in a little farther down. Watch this right here. Come down and then tuck it in. And then you can add another one right beside it here, coming up, and that beautiful tipped top on there. Backwards C, look at that. You'll be flying in no time. Make sure that your tip has the narrow end at the top and the larger end on the bottom, and you can open these up as much as you want, and you can add, as long as they're in odd numbers, they look beautiful. Then we're going to color them. Each one, we're going to use our micro brushes, and we're going to get some fabulous coloring. So there's 3 major petals that go on the buds. I decided to leave those little pansy shaped ones there underneath the main rose, just for some interest. And basically you have 3 petals. I scooped that one up, I didn't like it. And here I grab it. You can see perfectly how we're doing that. Fill in the center if you need to. Bring it down, because you're going to put those beautiful leaves with the thorns underneath. And you can tell how they are drying very quickly due to the beautiful Buttercream Fabric Stiffener that you buy at Michael's. Beautiful. Anything made by Buttercream product is beautiful. So I'm just going over and making sure that the leaves are all different shapes. You have that, make them crisscross at the top. You know how buds crisscross and have that beautiful, the one that's right on top there that you're looking at, the lower right, how they crisscross and you get those points on the rosebuds. They look so pretty, and you can just add them. Here I'm just adding a smaller one, and remember we're going to put that acetate bevel over top of this, and look how it just pushed those doors to the back, And the richness of this when you get your roses on it is beautiful. The finished product, and knowing you're looking through acetate so you get that glare, it is extremely gorgeous. And I had, oh, such a relaxing time. Okay, now you want to take a number 2 round, and you're just going to go just like it says around the edges and then drag down for a stem. If you think a nice stem, we're going to color those with Copics, and then add 1 or 2 little leaf lines. They're all going to be colored, and this is with the gel. So the gel, you're going to have to put a little bit of heat to it. It's not like the paste. I do have the stiffener in that, but it does have to dry. And remember, Copics are going on this, and it's gel. It's going to dry clear. Even though it looks white here, your stems will be clear because it is the gel, opposed to the roses, which are paste. So always remember that. Whatever lines you draw with the gel, it's going to dry clear. And what a beautiful look you're going to get on here. Gorgeous. Then I added hearts coming off of the vines, just hanging off. So pretty. And the reason I use that, because the stamp we're going to use on the inside of the cards are bleeding violets, and they look just like hearts upside down. So there is a method to the madness of this card. And if you run out of vines, just grab the green icing bag there that you used before. Look how easy it is to make those poofy hearts. So crazy pretty. These hearts are made from the gel. They are going to dry clear, and that's what you want to make sure you have it in your mind. 1 bag for the paste and 1 bag for the gel, especially if it's white, so you don't mix them up, because you'll think it's going to dry white when in actuality the gel is clear gel. It comes out white because we have the stiffener in there, but it's actually going to be so much fun to color with your Copics. I just didn't want this card to end. All the leaves are hard as a rock. My flowers are hard there, and now I'm adding a base because we're going to put perfect pearls over top of this clear gel. You're not going to see that very well. Actually, it'll be like a green brown underneath that you'll see. I need to have the depth on here to put my perfect pearls are on top there, and then I'm adding the little dots going down, the hearts. I just think it adds some gorgeous detail on there. And would you have believed when we started this card that you would have such rich, gorgeous browns and green, yellow colors on the doors? You have all the textures all the way around your card with the pattern paper, the tar, the brick, and now you have vines. And see how the hearts, they're clear, and the dots are clear. And now I'm going in with 2 shades of my Copic greens on the clear paste that we added underneath the rose for those, you know, the little leaves that have the little pricklies in them. And then I made the long stems, and you want to have 2 or 3 different shades of green on here in the G's. You know, you can do yellow greens, but I think that just plain G's, the basic green colors, are wonderful because they're deep enough to put over top, but yet you get to see that gorgeous clear gel shine through. And when you put that Bevelled Acetate, it jumps out at you. It's gorgeous. And we're going to use the Hero Arts tricolors in the dye ink, but our main ingredient on here with the roses is pigment ink, that chalky pigment ink. And that is going to add the richness to these flowers. See how they just shine a different texture. Every one of these flowers, everything on this card, all together different textures. You could just sit there and pick them one by one. Beautiful. Now I went over to my left hand for you so you could see me putting the perfect pearls on here. and right over top of the clear dots that we put down with the gel. Isn't it pretty? And you want to have, this here is to draw the eye in different directions away from the flower, so that you go to that, like that V is pointing to the knob that opens the gate. And at the top where it's rounded and the brick starts and the brick stops. And all these little wee tiny little details are what add the goodness to your card. So now I'm using the Tricolor Hero Arts, and it has 3 colors in one, and then I go over to the beautiful pigment ink here. One thing you'll find with the Avriel pigment ink, it is rich in pigment color like chalk. It's oozing out, and when you use these micro brushes that you get at your Walmart stationery, Walmart or drugstore, you get these. You can draw on here just like you were using a paintbrush, but you have more control because it just has that micro fur on the end there that is wonderful to color. You can get in all the ridges to get the rich color. You use all different tones. You can see I have the deep color of orange like the rose, and then 2 different shades of yellow, and it's the pigment ink, that chalky ink. And then start drawing, and then put your light tone on, and then work your way up to the dark tone. Add your little wee vein lines on your roses, so each petal has those darker vein lines. It was so good to me today. Look, I found my distress sprayer. I missed it over 2 weeks. I was having such a sad day with my computer, and then I found my distress sprayer. So there you go. Yes, everything turned out roses. It really did. So here we go. We're going into the blue tones in the Hero Arts Tritone inks. So now I have my mid-tone and my light tone and my dark, and I'm going in to get some beautiful, with the ink, I'm getting the texture and that vein line I want. So I work from light to dark, and I go around the edges just like you're painting. And doesn't that gel look nice with your Copic marker on there on the roses? You can get right down deep into the rose because it's already dry thanks to the fabric stiffener in our texture pastes. Oh yes, and all our texture pastes are mixed together, so you don't even know what you have there. I know what you have. Beauty. I love roses. Aren't they pretty? It's in that beautiful old door, and the brick on top of the door, just beautiful. So here I'm just making sure that I have some beautiful colors on these roses. The micro brushes work really well. I want to add color to the tips right here of the orange roses. I'm putting in some of the turquoise just on the very ends of the petals. And now I'm drawing the stripes. And the reason I do this is I go across the stripes in one direction on one petal and a different direction on the other, and then I cross hatch it. It looks gorgeous when you're done. You'll really like the effect you get from that. And we're getting, isn't there a lot of textures on this card? Thank you very much for staying with me. I do know it's a long tutorial, but to show you how to do a beveled rose card like this, it did take a longer time. And I know some of you say you don't mind my videos long, and thank you very much. It takes the pressure off me. And here's a close-up of all the different shades you're able to get with those beautiful inks, the beautiful texture pastes, the richness you get, and how dry and beautiful. I hate to keep saying the word beautiful, but I just love looking at it because I know it's going to be tucked and nestled in to acetate. And nice bevel. You get that old-fashioned gate and that richness of the background. Beautiful. So let's work on the bevel. What you have to do is measurement. Here, you have to measure your card. So let's start with that, shall we? These acetate pieces are the pieces that are pages. They're acetate pages I get at the stationery store, very thick. And I take the ends off because they do have a rounded corner. I measure to make sure that I get the card going across and down. So first off, just measure it going down, which is 6 inches. And then you want to add 1/4 of an inch to each side that you're going to have to score, and add another 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch. It depends how large you made your flowers. I take a measuring tape and I need to add just under 1/2 an inch for the bevel. So I will do almost an inch more. So if my card was 5 inches going across, it would be 6 inches. And I'll show you that in a minute. And I use this orange tape on this really sticky orange tape on acetate when I'm doing my bevel cards. When you see all my other bevel cards, you'll notice that I do use this sticky orange tape because it does work very well. You don't want the bevel flying off your card for sure. So I've scored this first, just one side first, 1/4 of an inch. I put the tape on. I'm going to make sure it's nice and straight, cut even, and the other side is cut nice and straight to add the other layer. And I'm going to take the tape off and put that on so I know where I am going to score the next one. So there you do. You hold on to it there, and I have my thumb right about there. I check the bevel. How much do I need? And it ended up being just over 1/4 of an inch. Just another notch over. And then I check it out once I've scored it to see if that's how high I want it, because you can always move it over, right? But once you get it on, if you cut any of that acetate off, you're going to have a problem. You don't want the acetate to touch your flowers. You want them to come up in a reasonable height. So here I am taking 2 pieces on here. I chose not to cut the back off, so I just put 2 strips on this. It was a little longer just in case I needed a little bit more of the acetate. I left a little bit on there, but once you get the tape on, it's too late to turn back now. Once you get the tape on this, the 2 layers were, which I liked because it will secure it even more. You have to cut this tape off, right? I used to dread working with this because it was so sticky. Make sure that you cut your ends in so it's not showing on the outside. So once you get your tape down, score it, get your Teflon bone folder, make a nice crease, and then cut in on each of the corners, just 1/8 of an inch in, and that will help you when you seat it on your card to not only look pleasing, but the measurement will be, you won't be able to see it from the sides because you did a mitered corner. So there you go. Start with the end. You don't want to touch your roses, even though they're hard as a rock. Accidents can happen, right? So I'm very careful here. So I set it down and I take my bone folder and I press in where I can, wherever there's no flowers. This is where I have to make sure all of the static, anything that has come up on the acetate, wipe it down now, as much of it as you can get off. Take the strips off here, and I ended up keeping 3/4 of an inch of a bevel going up. And here I'm working with one edge first. I mitered the corners, which makes it easy. The card is 140 pounds, nice and thick, and that is staying on the back, my friends. Then I took my little spoon that I have, my rubber silicone spoon, and I worked it up inside the bevel and pressed it down. Now we're moving over to Heartfelt Creations. This is the Bleeding Heart stamp. It is gorgeous. I put it on the back of my stamp press. I'm using my pigment ink in orange and yellow, placing it anywhere you want, preferably the lighter in the middle and the dark on the outside, but it doesn't really matter. It's going to look pretty no matter how you do it. It has a little girl standing by a brick garden, and it has a well, and it's just beautiful. But this is all you want. Put clear embossing powder on your pigment ink. You have your light tones and your dark tones. Isn't that gorgeous? Now I'm going to take a beautiful die to cut this out with. I'm going to take my Sizzix scallop dies. I love this. It's a set of 5. This is the largest one. I made sure that I had the girl over to the left, and I needed to make room for my sentiment at the top. So I went into another set for my sentiment, actually. I can't remember it right now, but I'm sure I will in just a bit. I take this off. I take my tool there to get all of the little pieces parts and the guts out of there, and there's only a few pieces left. This die really is, Sizzix makes beautiful dies, and they don't stick inside. They're just an awesome set, and I'm shopping in my craft room, so they had a big sale going on over at Sizzix Clearance. So I picked up quite a few, and here I decided to go with the beautiful, could you match that ink up with any, this is Stampin' Up! Tangerine paper, I think it is, but I'm using my tape runner. I distressed the edges, and I put a little bit of, I think it was frayed burlap around the edges. I put one on the top, one on the bottom. I've got the washi tape script in the middle so that when you're opening and closing, because it is quite heavy. And then I took my Avery Elle sentiment. I'm going to put it in gold because of the gold washi tape script in the middle. And I want to see what that says because it is a beautiful, beautiful sentiment. And I'm going a little bit fast here, but you are in my thoughts. That's what it says. And it matches the, like I said, the beautiful washi tape. I added some double-sided tape to the back of this, just 4 strips. It will stay. And really happy with everything, with the bleeding hearts in the matching orange tones with the pigment Avery Elle pigment inks. Looked beautiful with the gold sentiment. You couldn't ask for anything more. And use your sweater, of course. That works wonderfully too. There you go. You are in my thoughts. So pretty. Well, we're coming down to the end. Can you believe it? 52 minutes, only 4 minutes left. Thank you very much for your patience and always sticking with me. And here I'm going to add a white 140-pound cardstock to the back because you know I love my cards heavy and thick. And when I stand this up with the bevel being so heavy on the front, I need to have double the paper on the back. So my card base is made with 140-pound cardstock. Now I'll have another piece. I distressed the edges and I put some tangerine orange distress ink around the edges of the original card base, not the one I just made. I wanted to make it kind of clean and the only clean and simple thing I put on there. And now you want to add your orange tape to the front. And the reason why I have green and blue is to take away from the orange because I do have a blue kind of sky in there and the turquoise ran into the green and I thought the two papers just mingled together beautifully. So there's that beautiful again. That's my new word for this video, is beautiful. As I take the tape off, I want to remind you of the collaboration I'm doing with Sandy Parker on her channel, Crafting for Almost Everyone. I will leave it in the description bar. We haven't decided a date. We're still working on our projects, but that will be coming soon. I'm putting some Scotch tape on the back where the folds were, but this is just a precautionary measure so that the acetate is very secure around the edges, and then I'll seat it on the card base. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, I would appreciate it if you enjoy my tutorials, if you would subscribe. And for giving me thumbs up, I really appreciate that because that helps the placement of my videos on YouTube. The more thumbs up I get, the better it is for me to get in line to be viewed. So thank you if you would do that. Have yourself a blessed week and enjoy the pictures that are coming up. and I'll see you on the next Mixed Media Magnificent card. Take care.